Luntha TV is now on Zuku Channel 51. You can get yourself a Zuku decoder from the Luntha TV offices in Area 2, Lilongwe, and from all the St. Manford bookshops across the country in Kasungu, Lilongwe, Salima, Dedza, Balaka, Zomba, Mulanje, Blantyre, Chikwawa, Mwanza, and Mangochi. For more information, contact 0883 815 055 or 0996 892 965. Get a Zuku decoder today and not miss daily mass, worship and prayers, news bulletins, and so much more on Luntha TV, bringing wisdom into your home. Luntha TV is now on Zuku Channel 51. You can get yourself a Zuku decoder from the Luntha TV offices in Area 2, Lilongwe, and from all the St. Manford bookshops across the country in Kasungu, Lilongwe, Salima, Dedza, Balaka, Zomba, Mulanje, Blantyre, Chikwawa, Mwanza, and Mangochi. For more information, contact 0883 815 055 or 0996 892 965. Get a Zuku decoder today and not miss daily mass, worship and prayers, news bulletins, and so much more on Luntha TV, bringing wisdom into your home.
You are watching Luntha Television and it's time for news. My name is Helbert Katanda. Now let's have a look at our top stories.
Catholic Church leader Pope Francis expects more from World Youth Day. Court rose in favor of Vice President Saulos Chidima. Malawi Kwacha depreciates amid rising cost of living. And in news from elsewhere, 2 killed in Senegal and protest over arrest of opposition figure.
Well, we have these and more other stories to stay tuned in. Looking ahead to Pope Francis' apostolic journey to Portugal, Cardinal Secretary of State Pietro Parolin says World Youth Day offers an important opportunity for young people to come into close contact with Jesus and describes the Pope's visit as a time to be close to the sick. The young people who have traveled to Lisbon are waiting for Pope Francis to celebrate together the 37th World Youth Day, the first after the COVID-19 pandemic. The Pope sets off to Portugal with the awareness that these gatherings are powerful. We have the details.
With the words, Cardinal Parolin shares with Vatican media his insight into the Pope's thoughts as he prepares to meet with, listen to, and speak to young people who have come from all over the world for this great feast of faith. The Holy Father will be in the Portuguese capital from 2nd to 6th of August, and this will be his 42nd international apostolic visit. The Vatican Secretary of State also urges all those who will not be able to participate physically in the upcoming days to feel involved and fully protagonists, and explains that the Fatima leg of the journey stems from the Pope's desire to be close to those who are sick and suffering and to pray for peace. Pope Francis will be spending time with the young people of World Youth Day in Lisbon, Portugal. The Holy Father has many expectations for this upcoming World Youth Day in Lisbon, and already in several video messages, he has invited young people to join him in this pilgrimage and to prepare for this ecclesial event, above all in prayer. The Pope prays for all the young people who have already set out for Lisbon in these days, in the conviction, in the knowledge, and these meetings, the gatherings, have a great power, the strength, even to change the lives of some. A few weeks ago, the Holy Father was amongst the first to be given the backpack that the young pilgrims will receive in Lisbon.
Malawi Vice President Dr. Saulos Chilima now has his 2 bail conditions varied by High Court Financial Crimes Division Judge Professor Redson Kabindo on Tuesday. One of Chilima's lawyers, Kumbo Soko, has however indicated that they think SCB cannot prosecute Chilima because the contracts where the case is based were actually vetted by the Bureau. SCB lawyer Crispin Kunga has described the ruling as a win, as the conditions take care of their case. Robert Edward reports.
Now, what will be expected on the 25th of August is that the court is going now to hear a possible plea by the Vice President Dr. Saulos Chilima, and that the state will have to now respond within 7 days. Both the state and the defense will respond within the 7 days. They will have to file documents. For the defense now, it will be on the issues that they raised on the amended charge sheet from the state, that's the ACB, and then the ACB will now be responding to that. But according to defense lawyer Kumbo Soko, the court has essentially agreed with them, because the vice president will no longer now be reporting to ACB once every 3 months, but within 14 days and each and every 2 weeks, the vice president will have to be sharing the schedule of his travels to with the SCB, and that the traveling document, the passport, is now going to be kept by the president.
For the passport, instead, where the court has said that we should retrieve it from the court and then deliver it to the office of the president. So it's the one who's going to have custody of that document. And in place of the condition that he should be reporting to the Bureau every 3 months, the court has stated that it should simply be providing them with their schedules.
From SCB's side, it's a win-win situation. In fact, according to Crispin Kunga, representing the ACB, the court has removed 2 conditions that have varied the condition, agreeing with the state. But according to him, there are actually 3 conditions that have now been imposed, which also takes care of their case.
Well, instead of the passport being kept at the court, what the court says now is that the passport should be kept with the president. Instead of the accused person reporting to SCB once every 3 months, the court is saying that he must give the SCB schedules of his travel every 2 weeks, and also before traveling outside the country, he must inform the court and also inform the SCB. So now we have 3 conditions that takes care of the court and of the prosecution, the SCB, in knowing where the accused person is.
Chilima is answering corruption charges involving the business mogul and the corruption suspect Zuneth Satar. The allegation is, among others, that the Vice President received money amounting to $280,000 for the Malawi Police Service food deal. For Luntha, this is Robert Edward.
The First Lady Monica Chakwera has challenged women and girls in the country to embrace the use of advanced technology. She made the remarks earlier today when she officially opened the 4-day Women and Girls Cyber Conference in Lilongwe. Madam Chakwera said she is confident that the conference will equip young girls and women with the tools necessary to protect themselves in the digital space. Bridget Monoga reports.
According to Madam Chakwera, Malawi and the rest of the world has seen a rise of cybercrime, data breaches, and online scams that have cast a shadow on the digital world. She said the conference has come at the right time since it will nurture women in cybersecurity and all stages of their career, whether they are just starting out or striving to advance further.
This conference today, therefore, is the beginning of a new chapter in our country's history to ensure that more girls and women take up diverse roles and career paths that the cyberspace provides, including cyber security. This is due to the fact that as a country, we are still lagging behind in terms of women and young girls, like I've already said.
The Minister of Information and Digitalization, Moses Kumkuyu, said the conference is both timely and essential in this age of rapid technology advancement.
Komanso atulankhani chifukwa chakuti inu ndamene mmathandizira kuti zinthu mboma ziyende komanso anthu adziwe kuti kunjaku kulinji. Kotero kuti ndi mawu amenewa ine ndikuthokozeni chifukwa chobwera tsiku la lero pozakhala nawo pa msonkhanowu wa atulankhani zomwe kwambiri.
Making his remarks, Makra Board Chairperson Stanley Kaya said the regulator has put in place a number of interventions to make sure that women are taking part in various technology.
We have several interventions. One of the one is the procurement we are doing for the Central Equipment Identity Register. This one is very important because all the gadgets that are used for electronic purposes will be now registered, the actual gadget, not the person. So if somebody misuses that gadget, we will know the gadget and we will be in a position to do something about it.
Research has shown that women make up to only 30% of the workforce in tech-related jobs, and the number is even smaller for women in cybersecurity, which is a relatively new field and hence the focus of this conference. The conference will take place from 1st to 4th August under the theme Bridging the Gender Gap and Breaking the Glass Ceiling. Bridget Manoka, for Luntha News.
The Malawi kwacha has on Tuesday marginally depreciated from 1,063 kwacha to the dollar to 1,095 kwacha. Figures from the Reserve Bank of Malawi have shown. In June, the local currency depreciated by 2.68% from the 1,000 kwacha and 1,036 kwacha to 1,063 kwacha to the dollar. This is the third depreciation since the Tonsa administration was ushered into power. You are still watching news on Luntha television and on our various social media platforms. Do stick around as we'll be back shortly after the break.
personal growth to business solutions, there is no limit to what you can imagine. It's time to reimagine banking. Centenary Bank, our bank.
Welcome back. Now let's have a look at our top stories once more before we proceed.
Catholic Church leader Pope Francis expects more from World Youth Day. Court rose in favor of Vice President Saulos Chidima. Malawi Kwacha depreciates amid rising cost of living. And in news from elsewhere, 2 killed in Senegal and protest over arrest of opposition figure.
Moving on, the Ministry of Education says government is implementing a project called Improving Secondary Education in Malawi, formerly known as ISEM, which is attempting to address issues of infrastructure in secondary schools. Speaking at Parliament today, Minister of Education Madalitso Kambawa Wilima said through the same project, the ministry has some allocations from the budget to attend to issues of poor infrastructure and secondary schools. On improving laboratories in secondary schools, Wilima said the ministry was working in partnership with Nzuzo University, where they have handed over a virtual laboratory to the ministry to see how it can roll out, and the preliminary works have been concluded. Charity Jilanga reports.
During the Parliament proceedings today, the Ministry of Education received a lot of questions. The main question was from Honorable Mark Burman from Zombajisi, who asked the Minister of Education that the people of Zombajisi constituency wanted to know when the construction of a laboratory at Matandwe Community Day Secondary School would commence, saying the project was earmarked for construction in the 2018-2019 financial year. Following the question were supplementary questions from the members of the House, asking for improvement of school infrastructure such as hostels, libraries, among others. Responding to the matter, the minister responsible, Madalitso Kambawa Wilima, said there are a lot of projects that the ministry is doing to improve school infrastructure. Among other things, Wilima said in some CDSs that have been there have laboratories and some additional classroom blocks that are being constructed, and this is due to the ESM project that the ministry is implementing. According to Wilima, the ministry will come up with a ministerial statement to the House that will go into the details of improving school infrastructure through the ESM project.
And to these requests, but also we have projects in the ministry, i.e. improving secondary education in Malawi, fondly known as ISEM, which is attempting to address these issues. As we speak, if you asked some members of parliament, they will attest to the fact that in some CDSs that have been there, they actually have twin labs that are being constructed, and they also have some additional classroom blocks that are being constructed.
The experience of education is important to the learning process, and well-equipped schools motivate both teachers and learners, creating a strong platform for learning and growth, eventually molding strong, capable and productive citizens. Charity Shilanga, Luntha Television, Lilongwe.
A group of human rights bodies working under the banner Joint Civil Society Organizations have called on government to immediately suspend the relocation exercise of refugees and asylum seekers to Dzaleka refugee camp in Dowa district, citing human rights violations. This is according to a statement released yesterday by members of the concerned groups. The statement says, in part, that the exercise, which should uphold the rights of vulnerable individuals, has been tainted by acts of lawlessness within the Malawi Police Service and certain party cadres, resulting in gross human rights violations. Bernard Mwanza reports.
The civil society groups include Youth and Society, YAS, Center for Democracy and Economic Development Initiatives, CIDED, Center for Human Rights and Rehabilitation, CHRR, Church and Society of the CSAP Livingstonia Synod, and Human Rights Defenders Coalition, HRDC, among others. They claim that since the relocation of all refugees started, they have observed alarming lawlessness and gross violations as Malawi Police Service has resorted to excessive and disproportionate force during arrests of suspected illegal immigrants and refugees, demonstrating outright illegality. The consortium also sees that vulnerable individuals from the Rwandese and Burundian communities have suffered significantly, saying they have been subject to exploitation by the police, who demanded bribes and confiscated their hard-earned property and money. According to the consortium, these actions have led to a state of national insecurity, contradicting the very purpose of institutions mandated to ensure safety, adding that the Ministry of Homeland Security statements have fueled xenophobia, undermining the principles of Ubuntu philosophy that are deeply cherished by the common Malawian. It is reported that on 17th and 18th May 2023, a total of 505 individuals suspected to be refugees, asylum seekers and illegal immigrants were detained at Maura prison, including 202 males, 89 females, and 117 children who endured overcrowded conditions, physical abuse, lack of access to legal representation and family, detention without trial, and limited access to basic amenities, among others. But the Minister of Homeland Security has backed the exercise, saying it is being operated under the law as it is being guided by the 1989 Refugees Act, which is currently under review.
Maula should make this clear that these people were not kept there as prisoners. They were not imprisoned. They were not mixed with inmates. They were kept at what we call alternative to detention. Government was providing food, water, medicine, and even sanitary supplies for women and babies.
Meanwhile, the consortium has, among others, recommended that authorities should expedite the review of the country's Refugees Act to align it with international standards and ensure the protection of refugees' fundamental rights, with the bill to be tabled in Parliament later this year. They have also recommended that authorities should conduct public awareness campaigns to enlighten the local population about the plight of refugees, fostering empathy and emphasizing the significance of their protection and integration. This is Bernard Mwanza for Luntha News in Lilongwe.
Parliament has passed Bill number 16 of the 2023 International Development Association Food Systems Resilience Program for Eastern and Southern Africa Projects, Phase 3, which authorizes the Minister of Finance on behalf of Government of Malawi to receive from International Development Association a grant in various convertible currencies, not exceeding in the aggregate the equivalent of SDR 187 US dollars as partial financing for Food Systems Resilience Program for Eastern and Southern Africa Project, Phase 3. The 6-year project will focus on building resilience of the food systems of the country by using smart approaches that convert the effects of climate change on agriculture. Tandio Nzumara with the details.
According to the Minister of Finance, Sosten Gwengwe, the Food Systems Resilience Program will support the country in prioritizing medium-term investments that can transform and strengthen the resilience of its food systems, and at the same time help the country to rebuild its productive capacity, improve the management of natural resources, strengthen food value chains and access to markets, and improve policies to enhance the resilience of the sector.
The way to move this country forward is to have initiatives which really put a lot of emphasis on commercial agriculture. So commercializing agriculture is the sure way of us achieving food security, being able to feed the nation going forward, because the population has boomed but the land remains constrained. So we need mechanization and we need commercialization of agriculture.
Speaking on behalf of opposition DPP, Chitipa South MP Werani Chirenga has appealed to the Ministry of Finance to ensure that the money is used to help build the country's resilience from natural disasters such as Cyclone Freddy.
So we hope that government is going to make sure that a good chunk of this money is used to mitigate effects of climate change. Because globally, all countries are talking about climate change. But for us, we have not been able to move forward. We also hope that this money is going to be used for the improvement of carbon trading.
Parliament has also passed Bill number 17 of 2023, which authorizes the Minister of Finance on behalf of government to receive from the International Bank for Reconstruction, acting as the supervising entity of the Global Agriculture and Food Security Program Trust Fund, a grant in various convertible currencies, not exceeding in the aggregate the equivalent of 15 million United States dollars, as partial financing for the Food Systems Resilience Program for Eastern and Southern Africa Project Phase 3, and to authorize any payments that may be required to be made to the International Bank for Reconstruction under the financing agreement to be charged on the consolidated fund. For Luntha News, this is Tandiwe Mzumara.
At least 17 lives of persons living with disabilities have changed in Zomba in the area of Group Village Head Kapyepye, as Mama Amina Foundation based in Balaka has given them wheelchairs amounting to 2,000 kwacha each. According to Mama Amina Foundation Director Hassan Abdul Malik, the donation has been given to the group as zakat with support from Knowledge is Light from UK through the foundation, since their faith encourages respecting the dignity of persons with disabilities because they matter to God. From Rashida Matandiga reports.
According to the parents and guardians, the support is a relief to them and the children, as they will have the opportunity to be with their peers in the playgrounds since they have been sidelined for a long time due to mobility challenges. One of the parents, Stella Francis, who has a 5-year-old child, said the wheelchair is more than what she needed because she had to be locking her child indoors to attend to other duties, which was bad and abusive.
I am very excited because it was tough leaving my child locked up indoors when I went out to the field and find him crying. Now his grandfather or his friends will be wheeling him around, and I can even send him to a nursery school.
Appreciation to Mama Amina Foundation, Group Village Head Kapyepye said he was grateful that his people with disabilities will now have the chance to take part in different activities just like everyone else.
As a Group Village Head, I am grateful for the donation because these people, especially the children, have been saved from tough moments that they were experiencing. Now they will be able to go to school and even attend madras.
The executive director of Mama Amina Foundation, Hassan Abdul Malik, said they have made the donation following the command by their Prophet Muhammad through the Holy Quran to take care of people with disabilities. Abdul Malik advised the people to stop disrespecting persons with disabilities as it is a sin.
I was just illustrating and I was forcing them to understand and follow the rulings of the Quran and the Sunnah, which is the tradition of the Holy Prophet Muhammad SAW. It is a great sin to dishonor those who are disabled.
The 17 wheelchairs were worth a 3.4 million kwacha and are just a fraction of the donation of the 60 wheelchairs that the foundation has made in different districts with support from Knowledge is Light. The donation invoked emotions, and the smiles of a new dawn from some of the beneficiaries were priceless. Rashida Matandika, Luntha TV, Zomba.
government, through the Ministry of Education, has said it is looking into the public request to slash the increased tuition fees by the public universities. The development has come following a general public outcry and criticism towards the fees increment, which others say could increase the withdrawal rate, as many needed students who were struggling before the adjustments were made would not be able to pay their tuition fees. In an interview on Tuesday, the ministry spokesperson Mphatso Mkonela said though the university fees were last revised in 2016, despite the economic changes over the years, they will look into the request by public to make some downward adjustments on the proposed rates. Jacqueline Saidi reports.
As various stakeholders have been expressing concern against the adjustment of the tuition fees by the public universities, especially on the needy students, government, through the Ministry of Education, has clarified on the fees adjustment, saying they don't want the public to be misinformed. According to the ministry's spokesperson, Mphatso Mkonela, the ministry is currently looking into the request by the public to slash the fees, saying the recommended amount is 650,000 kwacha per academic year for all the institutions.
The request to slash the school fees down is being followed. However, we would like to also to say that request to adjust the fees upwards was made after considering the high cost of living.
Yesterday, a grouping of concerned needy students gave an ultimatum of 14 days to President Lazarus Chakwera to intervene and reverse the decision by public universities to hike the tuition fees, threatening to hold demonstrations if the decision is not reversed. Former president for the UNIMA Students' Union, Charles Dukera, told a press conference that the increment is a distressing message to learners, hence making their demand for a reversal, as many students are at the verge of withdrawing from continuing with their studies on financial grounds.
So our greatest concern is that most students now will be forced to withdraw on financial grounds, and this will be the end of their future. And the Malawi that we are aspiring towards 2063 will be doomed on the door before we even start talking about it.
Last week, the leader of opposition in Parliament, Kundwani Nankumwa, also lamented the upward adjustment of the public universities' tuition fees, saying it is a blow to the education of many local Malawians who have the potential but are of less financial capability.
Much as there might be need for tuition fees to be increased in our public universities, time is not now. Malawians are suffering. This country has undergone serious challenges. The economy is not working. The economy has tanked. We are just coming from the effects, still addressing effects of Cyclone Freddy. Now you subject parents, guardians to such exorbitant fees at the university level. It's uncalled for, and this must be reversed.
Meanwhile, a number of members of the general public has told us that even though they understand the need for the adjustment, the percentage to which the adjustment has been is what is worrying the poor Malawians, who even find it hard to get their wards and children get the student loans. For Luntha Television News, this is Jacqueline Saidi.
Now in news from elsewhere, the Senegal Interior Minister has announced that at least 2 people have been killed in Senegal in protest sparked by the arrest of opposition figure Ousmane Sonko. According to a statement released on Monday, 2 lifeless male bodies were discovered in the southern city, where 2024 presidential hopeful Sonko is mayor. The ministry called on the public to stay calm and said it was taking measures to preserve peace and tranquility in the country. We have the details.
Demonstrators took to the streets on Monday as Sonko was remanded in custody on charges including plotting an insurrection and criminal association with a terrorist body. Senegal's Interior Minister Antoine Felix Abadoy Diome on Monday announced that the government had dissolved Sonko's Patriots of Senegal party for inciting unrest during violent protests last month in the capital, Dakar. The announcement marked the first time a political party had been banned in the West African nation since it gained its independence from France in 1960. A decree signed by Diome accused PASTEF of frequently calling on its supporters to insurrectional movements, which has led to serious consequences, including loss of life, many wounded, as well as acts of looting of public and private property. PASTEF's supporters have accused Senegalese President Macky Sall's ruling party of trying to sideline his popular opponent, who came third in the 2019 presidential election with trumped-up charges ahead of February's vote. Sonko, a 48-year-old former tax inspector, has faced a series of legal problems that he claims have been engineered to make him ineligible to run for the presidency in 2024. In June, Sonko was sentenced in absentia to 2 years in prison after being accused of morally corrupting a young woman.
That item brings us to the end of our today's news bulletin. But before we go, a reminder of our top stories.
Catholic Church leader Pope Francis expects more from World Youth Day. Court rose in favor of Vice President Saulos Chilima. Malawi Kwacha depreciates amid rising cost of living. And in news from elsewhere, 2 killed in Senegal and protest over arrest of opposition figure.
My name is Helbert Katanda. Thanks for watching, and it's goodbye for now.